Welcome back to Bully Ball, a San Francisco 49er podcast. We have a special guest joining us today. Great NFL draft story. He played in the NAIA. If you don't know what that is, we'll explain it to you a little bit. All-American, champion, and then he transferred to Division II and became an All-American there. Robert Carter joining us today. How you doing today, sir?
Doing good. How you doing?
Oh, we're doing great. We appreciate you joining us.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all for having me.
Definitely. We can get it started here. So I'll ask the first question. Coming out of high school, how was your recruiting like, knowing that you only played 1 year of football? And then the second part to that question, what led you to choosing Lindsey Wilson College in the NAIA?
Yeah, just coming out, especially only playing 1 year of football, like even the summer before the season, that usually matters a lot. I didn't have the opportunity to do any camps or things like that. So, I wasn't really hearing much until, just till the season got over with. And it was mainly, NAIA D2 programs and, just kind of between the options I had, I wanted to win wherever I was going. And then, coming in, Lindsey Wilson had already had some success. I think they had won. They were a younger program. They were started in 2010. So this was 2017. They had already won a couple conference championships. They had already gone to some semifinals, quarterfinals. So they were just kind of on the way up. So I wanted to join a program where I could see myself winning a lot of ball games. And then they showed the most love out of anybody.
Definitely.
What was it like playing in the NAIA? And can you explain like kind of what it is for the people that maybe they don't know anything other than the NCAA?
Right. So the NAIA, I'll compare it pretty much to something similar to Division II because, they still offer football scholarships. Just one thing that's unique about them, they can stack scholarships. So you could be on a football scholarship and also have an academic scholarship. So, I had a really good experience. Lindsey Wilson, we were pretty much ranked in the top 10 my whole 4 or 5 years there. So, I could speak on, just us. We had a lot of talent on that team. I think we had great coaching. And, just looking back, I walked away with 4 conference championships, 1 national championship. So, I think it was a good decision.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Definitely. So playing 4 years at Lindsey Wilson plus a redshirt season, and then like you said, you go on to win the NAIA championship in 2020. How did you feel in that moment? Peak of your dreams. You want to win a championship, and then you actually are able to achieve it. So how was that for you?
Man, it was awesome. But just honestly, we knew we were going to win it the whole time. So the season before we won the national championship, coming into that season before, we didn't know what type of team we had. You know what I mean? So we kind of just came into the season and we're having success and just we didn't even know it, but we ended up being in the semifinals. We didn't think we were that good, like I said, coming into the season, and we're in a semifinal game, had a chance to go to the national championship the year before we won it, and we were beating that team 17-0. So, we're thinking, okay, we're about to go to the national championship. And then, come out second half, had some things happen, and we blew a 17-0 lead and ended up getting knocked out. So, we kind of surprised ourselves and we knew the type of team we were. And just coming into the next year, we're like, hey, look, we got the same team coming back. We know what we're capable of. So let's really put it together and make it happen. So, we made that national championship run. We killed everybody. We beat everybody by 21 points or more en route to doing it, even in the national championship. We knew we won the game at halftime. So, it's it doesn't hit the same when it's not a close ball game and you gut it out in the national championship. But, it was still sweet nonetheless.
Yeah, 100%.
As a player, you'd rather blow them out too, though. To be honest with you,
we started the
celebration.
Win. Yeah, we started the celebration in the third quarter, so it was fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you then go on to into the 2021 season, and that's your huge, kind of breakout season yourself. 39 tackles, 8 interceptions, 12 pass breakups, and first team All-American. So how did that feel? And, what kind of led to that crazy production that year?
Yeah, it was awesome. But I think even for that, I think I put the work in like 2 years before that to really make that huge jump. You know what I mean? And, I really just told myself going into that season, like I already knew I was a good ball player, but I'm like, look, I need to make more plays. So just coming into that season, I just wanted to be more conscious of getting the football. So, I mean, if I knew I was getting a target, the ball's in the air, a lot of times it's seen as a gamble, I'm going to look. So, I kind of just made that decision. Like if I want to force fumbles, if I got a guy coming towards me, I don't want to just make a tackle. I want to get a hand on the ball. So I think really just coming into that season, like I said, the work was put in a couple years before that, but it was just a little bit of a mindset change, and it just led to some different results.
Yeah, definitely. So going forward a little bit, kind of walk us through the decision making, because like you said, you've been extremely successful at Lindsey Wilson, winning national championships, conference championships, like Joseph just said, All-American. And then you go on to transfer to the University of West Georgia, the D2 college. So what kind of led you to choosing them for that final year of college football?
Yeah, I mean, when I made the decision to transfer, pretty much it was a ton of D2s reaching out to me. And, when it came down to picking West Georgia, I mean, obviously I'm from the state of Georgia. We had a receiver on their team already that came from Lindsey Wilson, so I already had a little connection there. And, that was pretty much the biggest thing. They had just came off of a first round type of season. They got beat in the first round of the playoffs. They had a good quarterback coming back. They had a need at the position. So, I just felt like it was a good fit.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And how was the competition level change? Was it a straightforward, like the same, or how was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, coming from Lindsey Wilson, like we were, hands down one of the best NAIA programs in the country. So going from that to West Georgia, I don't think the competition was necessarily that different. But I would say, comparing it to Lindsey Wilson, as far as the one deep, I think it's about the same. But the biggest difference with West Georgia, once you start getting into the 2 deep, 3 deep, prep team guys, I think that's where you'll see the biggest difference between those two levels.
Definitely. So kind of, that 1 year that you played at the D2 level, you had a great season. You led the Gulf South Conference in passes defended with 9, and then you had 2 interceptions as well, which led to you being named to the second team All-American. Did that show you anything about yourself, just seeing that you can excel at, 2 different levels of competition? Did that really give you some confidence in yourself that you didn't know you had before?
Yeah, I mean, I always had the confidence, but I think it was really cool that I was able to do that because I mean, one guy I look up to that's in the league right now, Dallas Flowers. He pretty much did. He plays for the Colts, plays corner for the Colts. He did the exact same thing I did. He was an All-American NAIA, transferred to D2, went to Pittsburgh State, was an All-American as well in Division II, and then got picked up by the Colts. So it's just like when I look at it, the last guy who did what I just did, he's on the 53 man right now. So, just as far as my confidence, that's just where I'm at. Like the last person that did what I did is on the 53, so I don't see why I would be any different. Because I mean, that's the main thing I tell any team. Like, if you have any thoughts about me, you're gonna get a ball player. I've done it wherever I've been at.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So I was compiling your stats a little bit, trying to get them from different places, and putting it together, it looked like you had somewhere near 20 interceptions and somewhere between 30 and 40 passes defended in college. What allowed you to have such good ball skills?
I think basketball played a big role because I was really that's my biggest background. I've played more basketball probably in this point in my life than I have football. So growing up, it was really all basketball. I mean, I think just getting rebounds, you're constantly trying to deflect passes. I think it just translated to my game when it came to football. But even then, I think just being solid is technically sound. When you're in position consistently, eventually the ball is gonna find you. And I think that's just kind of how that happened. Just having a big focus on technique.
Yeah, definitely. That's extremely interesting because, we had another D2 prospect, Jake Witt. He plays O-line. He attributed a lot of his success to playing basketball, helping out a lot with footwork and things like that. So it seems like for the young guys that are out there right now, kind of dribble in some basketball, see what's going on there while playing football at the same time, because it seems like it helps out a lot of players for sure.
Yeah, if you're a young guy, you need to play more than one sport. I tell that to every kid. I train kids on the side. I tell that to every kid, you need to be playing more than one sport.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of moving on past your last year at the D2 level, you then got invited to the Tropical Bowl You had a great game in that. Was it how was that adjustment to the different levels of competition? Now you're playing against D1 guys instead of just the D2 guys. How was that for you during that time?
Yeah, I say like in my experience there, I already know who I am. Like I know I'm strong, fast, athletic, and sometimes at the Division II NAIA level is going to be guys who just aren't as athletic as you are. So like when I was at the Tropical Bowl, everybody's athletic. You know what I mean? That's one thing, but I think this the biggest thing. Everybody's still not necessarily. When it comes to football, you still got to be good at football, and just I'm coming from a smaller school, and a lot of times you can put the Division I guys on a different pedestal when it comes to their football talent, and I don't think that's always warranted. Those guys are definitely. I think you're gonna see better athletes just generally, but end of the day, you got to play football, and I think that's why I was still able to go out there and have some success.
Yeah, 100%. Did scouts reach out to you during after that time, or are you already in contact with some people before the Tropical Bowl?
Yeah, so I've had some contact with the Jets, Colts. I just worked out for the Atlanta Falcons yesterday at their local day.
Gotcha.
And yeah, those are the main teams I've been in contact with. The Packers as well.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Were you able to attend a pro day? I wasn't able to find anything.
Yeah, I attended a pro day at Kennesaw State.
Okay. Awesome.
Gotcha. So Emory Hunt, they have a draft guide. They listed you as the number 7 field corner in the draft, ahead of players like Emmanuel Forbes and Starling Thomas. Guys that are projected to be drafted very highly in this draft. Why do you believe you're being slept on a little bit, and why do you think that Emory has you rated so high?
Well, I know I'm being slept on. Just the logo that's been on my helmet my whole college career. But I mean, just like I said, when it comes down to playing ball, you're gonna get somebody who can do that. Everywhere I've been, I've produced. It's on the stat sheet, it's on film. It's the coaches that vote on these things, all conference, all region. I think when you're playing me, you're playing against a ball player. And then I mean that's all I've done in my whole career. So
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think we've had, I think you're our 5th Division II guy on the channel this year. And it's crazy, recently it seems like there's tons of talent, especially this year coming out of D2 into the NFL, guys going to the Senior Bowl, Tropical Bowl, Hula Bowl, Combine, and the transfer portal, you're seeing like Alabama guys at D2 level. So, the competition's kind of more comparable than it used to be back in the day. I would think at least. But where do NFL teams see you playing in the NFL? Is it, are they talking to you in the slot, playing outside, kind of seeing where you fit? What are they telling you so far?
yeah, everything I've heard has been corner. I've heard a little bit about playing some safety, but just for the most part, it's really been corner. I haven't really heard much about position changes, but I mean, I'm open to playing anything. I've pretty much played everywhere on the field my whole college career. So whatever gets me on the field, I'm cool with it.
Yes, sir. You freeze on us, Alex? I think he froze. I'll ask his question.
All right.
What do you excel at most as a cornerback? Would you say in man coverage, zone coverage, defending the run? And what do you think you can improve upon the most?
Yeah, I think in my career I excel the most with man coverage, and in zone I like zones as well, just because of my understanding. But I just like man coverage, especially when I know I have a pass rush behind it. Because I mean, it's hard to play man coverage when you're not getting a pass rush. But just in my career, a lot of times, especially at Lindsey Wilson, we're gonna send the pass rush with it, so you can play with a certain mentality, kind of knowing that okay, my teammates are working for me. Let me just put myself in position because chances are, ball's not gonna be perfect. So let me stay on this hip tight as I can and make a play. But where I can improve on the most, I think it's just working on probably in the red zone. Those back shoulder balls, they are difficult, especially for corners. So I think just knowing whether to turn back shoulder or whether just to look and lean. Sometimes, like I said, I made that decision earlier in my career that I'm just going to look for the ball regardless. It can backfire at times. So sometimes just knowing when to play the receiver and play the hands, I would say that's something I can work on.
Love it. That's a good answer right there. Who are some NFL corners? I know you mentioned the one guy, but and you could still say him, but who are the ones you try to model your game after?
Yeah, Denzel Ward, Marshawn Lattimore. And then like older guys, like I always looked up to Darrelle Revis as well.
Yep, definitely. Who are some of the players in the NFL that you want to go up against the most? Who are some of those guys that really you think are going to challenge you, and just that you have always kind of looked up to, or just people you want to get after it with?
Man, all of them. But I mean, I would like to line up against the route runners. Like the Justin Jeffersons, the the Stephon Diggs. I like to line up against the route runners because I really feel like, I like me versus anybody. So I'm gonna leave it there. I like me versus anybody.
Yeah, definitely.
And our last question, have you been contacted by, a 49er scout or anything? And then you mentioned the teams that have been in contact with you, but, where are they talking about you falling in the draft? Have they given you any projections or anything like that?
Yeah, as far as the 49ers, I haven't heard anything. And then just as far as projections, from as far as I know right now, we're looking at undrafted free agents. So as soon as the draft wraps up, just hoping to get a call from someone.
Awesome.
Definitely.
And all you need is a chance. We've said that to everybody. We had a guy on last year, Jason Poe. He was a Division II guy that went FCS, and he was a fullback that turned into a guard. And 49ers called him up, undrafted free agent, made the practice squad, and then he got signed to a second contract this year. So all you need is a chance.
Yeah, God willing.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
I have one more question. When you went from the NAIA to D2, we kind of ask our D2 players this, like what did you notice any changes in like facilities or just resources in general that the team gave you? Like, did you notice any differences from the NAIA to the D2 level?
Yeah, as far as West Georgia, I mean, the stadium was a lot nicer. They had a press box, and the press box had an elevator in it. They had suites in there, so that was pretty cool. As far as like the stuff we use on a day-to-day basis, the weight room was a huge improvement. At Lindsey Wilson, we never had strength coaches. They would kind of have a designated position coach who his side job would also be to be in the weight room for us. So we never really had a strength coach at Lindsey Wilson. At West Georgia, we did. We had a staff, so we had 2 full-time strength coaches and about 3 GAs that were there every day. So I mean that was pretty cool. And then little stuff like having protein after your workouts. If you need a snack before practice, before workouts, they had that in there for you. But those are pretty much the only differences I'd say.
Yeah, that's extremely interesting too, because you've kind of seen what it's like at a step a little bit below or equal to the D2 level. And, a lot of the D2 guys that we've interviewed before kind of said, yeah, like we don't have much, but, just a little bit that you got at the D2 level, that you got more than the NAIA made you extremely grateful. And, it's kind of crazy. Like one of the guys said, seeing all these resources that D1 guys get, the potential for you D2 people is just untapped, because now you're going to be getting full meal plans, full workouts, a bunch of resources from a weight room, nutritionists, trainers like that. So it's just cool to see, the D2 level. I think there's going to be a lot more players coming out, guys like you that are going to surprise a lot of fans and just coaches in general with the way they play in the NFL, for sure.
Right. And it's interesting you say, like, I've always said that as well. Like, it's no knock on any school I've been to, any coach or anybody I've worked with. But it's kind of just the reality of it. I'm not working with the same resources a guy from Alabama has. So I've always said, just I get in the NFL and I have that, imagine what I can do with it. So it's
Yeah.
interesting you bring that up, because I've always thought the same thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. We first noticed this when we had Caleb Murphy on. He's the all-time NCAA sack leader, and he played D2 as well at Ferris State. And he said, we don't have a meal plan, so I have to eat whatever I have to eat. Where you then go on to see people at the Georgia Pro Day talking about how they have like a steak and lobster in their facility, like that they're
Yeah, I
eating.
wish.
I'm like, man,
I
what
wish.
the hell?
Yeah, we had that cafeteria.
Yeah.
Had that cafeteria and McDonald's if you weren't feeling the cafeteria. So I wish.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I wanted to throw this up real quick from your Twitter, just so the people can see that watch this video. A little bit about you, all of your accolades in college. So throw that up to end our interview.
Being
we appreciate.
one more
Go ahead.
question. I'm gonna
Go
just
ahead.
ask a few more questions. You know, being a 2-year captain, I see on there. What would you say your leadership style is like? You know, are you a loud leader? You kind of sit back and watch, and then correct, or how do you go about being a
Yeah.
captain?
I mean, I earned that just from how I work. So I mean, I'm somebody. I think I do things the way they need to be done. And then when you're with me every single day and you see that, you can't help but respect it. So I mean, just kind of once I earned that, as far as like if I was real vocal or not necessarily until I had to be. You know what I mean? If you got a guy that's over there doing something just glaringly wrong, then yeah, I mean, I got to turn it up on them. But you know, for the most part, I mean, and then we had a great culture at Lindsey Wilson too. So I mean, it wasn't just me having to speak on certain things. Like we had the guy like, okay, he's the vocal leader. We had this guy who, if he sees it, he'll be vocal, but you know, don't BS around him. And we had it structured real good when I was at Lindsey Wilson as far as the leadership. So we all played our roles as far as how we did it. We had 4 captains and you know, we had a few other leadership type guys on the team, but yeah, the coach over there was great.
Definitely.
Can't speak on that enough.
Cool. Got anything else, Joe?
No, man, that's it. That was an awesome look into, you know, your college career and, you know, how you evolved throughout the stages. And, you know, we wish you luck in the NFL draft. And like we said, once you get your chance, we hope you run with it. And we'll be watching your journey as you go through it. We're here to support you.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Definitely. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
No problem. Thank you.
Money!